Hi guys, I'm going to just give you some tips and tricks on this hopefully short video about how to set up your floor plans to make them suitable for our documentation paper. Look, one of the first things, and I've just borrowed somebody's project again, but I would go into the organizer, and if you've already got a ground floor plan which has got a site plan around it, you can just rename it because what I'm hoping to do is I'm going to actually bring over different versions of the ground floor and the first floor. Now we only need the ground floor, but there is a reason why we'll bring the first floor over as well, because we need to put some window reference markers on the first floor. Otherwise, we won't have them on our elevations. So, okay, let's just bring over the ground floor. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to highlight that in my view map. And as usual, go to the settings. And when the settings dialog box comes up, there's certain ones we want to use. So this person, Han, has used a certain layer combination he created himself. But I'm just going to go with plan floor, which is a fairly basic setup. Look, the scale can be 1 to 100, and that could make things like our window reference markers be quite big. But we can always change that later and make it 1 to 50 if we like. So I'll just leave it like that. The important one to change is number 4, no markers. Change that to markers, okay? And if we click OK, and basically you'll see that now I've got a drawing with some markers on it. If you can't see your markers, there's probably a couple of reasons for that, and I'll just demonstrate what that is. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go to the window tool, and I'm going to go edit, select all windows. And it's good that this person has used the CAD image window tool by the looks of it. So I'm just going to open up the settings for the CAD image window tool, and I have to bring it across from another monitor again. So basically, where I've got dimension marker, you may find that this says no marker. And if it says no marker, that's, you know, what's going to happen on your plan. There's going to be no markers there. Now, we can see all sorts of different types of markers in these doors, but I'll come back to those in a moment. Again, because it looks, the lettering can seem quite big, we can get an idea of what it looks like at 1 to 50 by just clicking 1 to 50. And, these text notes we can make bigger later if we really want. But we actually do want to see markers, so I just turned that off because I want you guys to be aware of how you can possibly fix that if you can't see these markers on your own project. So let's go back and put them in. I'm going to go to the window tool. I'm going to go to edit, select all windows. And when I do that, just go to the settings, and then where it says no marker, just go to window marker 24. Now, there's a few things in here we want to check off. So I quite like the circle being the one for the outside, and then for doors inside, I might make it a square just to give it a graphical distinction. Now, the marker, you can see this one thing here says it's going to be 20 millimeters out from the window. I find that 8 is quite good for that. This extension line, which is like a string on a balloon, we don't want that, so I'm just going to click that and get rid of it. And then if you go up to where it says marker geometry, we just click through, and we do want to see the ID, and we do not want to see the sill. If I click the rest of the way through show dimensions, I don't want to see that. And the rest of it I think we can leave. So I'll click OK now, and hopefully some of these markers will reappear. They'll probably be a little bit smaller because of the scale of the plan being 1 to 50. Now you might look and see, well, some of these are outside and some of them are inside. Basically, I think they should all be outside. So for instance, this one, what we'll do is we'll click that, and we just click the settings. And I think if you go back to marker text style, let's see, dimension marker, there's one that I'll have to look through which says flip the marker. So let me see if I can find that. I'll just go right back. Yeah. So under marker geometry, if I click flip the marker, I'm hoping it'll put it to the outside. Now you may get a case where, the marker is kind of behind something. I mean, this should be a dashed line anyway, but it probably could be something to do with display order, and that might be where your beam's reading through the marker, and it's not easy to select these markers separately and bring them to the front. I'm not sure. Maybe I can do it with that window. Uh, no, you can't actually do that. So what I've actually done here, if there's any element that's coming through, I'm just going to say display order, send it to the back. Okay, so now the other thing that you're going to find is that your markers probably do not have this EJ15. So what we'll do is I'm going to show you how to change that, but I'm going to do it on the first floor, only because I've practiced on this ground floor already. What you just want to do when you do the ground floor is just make sure you remember which one is the last one. I think this was EJ16 or something, 15. I think I remember 16 somewhere, yeah, over here. And I'll explain why you need to do that presently. So I'm just going to bring over the first floor again. I'm going to highlight it, go into the settings. Archicad has realized I want to use plan floor. The scale I keep 1 to 50, and I want to keep the markers, so that's okay. Let's click OK. And if I double click first floor, then I hopefully can get, and you can see that we've got markers now. This is quite interesting because what it's done here is that it's actually read my mind a little bit with these markers. But what you guys will probably find is that your windows will not open up with that. So let me show you how you're going to do that. You're going to go to the window tool and go edit, select all windows. And I think it's under listing extras. There's a thing called element ID manager. And when it opens up, I'm going to change these back to what they were just to show you. So under the element ID manager, you should choose the window ID. And then we go to ID format. Now, at the minute, uh, I'm just going to say this is going to be capital D, for text. And basically, I'll just say I want text, and I want two figures there. So I'll just say D0. And then you might start here and say counter because you want this to change. And I'll say I want that to be 2 as well. And I'll just make it 01. Here, I'm going to say not used. And this one, I'm going to say not used. And if we say change IDs, it's going to give you a preview on your computer of all the doors and windows, right? So I'm going to just change these. In fact, this is going to just change the openings on the external envelope. So I'm going to just change them to let you see what it does. So you'll see the little blue circle, and you'll see that these have all changed. Now that's probably more like what you guys will see when you open up your project. So I'm just going to change them back. So basically, go to the window tool, edit, select all windows, go to document, listing extras, element ID manager, and basically you do the same process. So we want to go to the windows, and I go to ID format, number of characters 2, and it's going to be text, and make it EJ. We want this one to change, so make it a counter, make it 2. And if you remember that we had 16 windows downstairs, so we can't use 1 to 16, so I'm going to start off with 17. Now you may have different number of windows in yours, so don't panic if that is the case. I'll change IDs again, and it's giving me a preview of the numbers. I go, yeah, please go with that. And these should change. And there you go. You're very close to having our window reference markers the way we want them. Now you do the same thing with the doors inside. You can select all the doors, and basically you can choose the marker command again. When you get into the CAD image tools, I think if you go to the dimension marker, I would just say go door marker 24 and then just go through this thing again. I think some of the doors, I always kind of tend to do a square to make the difference, and I might make the offset 0 because I don't want it to stick out beyond, but you can play around with that. And don't forget to change things like extension lines. So I'm not going to do it all, but if you go in and do that, you'll get these squares, and you can turn off dimensions as you saw me do previously. and then we can make sure that we change under Element ID Manager, we can change the doors the same way we did the windows and make them IJ01. Now, if you were to do that, uh, that's helping this plan look very much like what we want it to end up with. So the other big trick to show you here is if I go to the ground floor plan, and I haven't fixed the doors, but you'll know how to fix those doors based on what I've shown you already. And again, we can make these things 1 to 50. If you want to make it a stay 1 to 50, do it over here. If you want to do it temporarily, do it in the quick views. And that 1 to 50 means these things can kind of stay away from the window. This one you can offset it maybe by 6 millimeters. But the big trick now is I'm going to show you how to do the dimensioning or get a start in the dimensioning so that you can then start to adjust it. So basically, I'm going to go to the wall tool. I'm going to go edit, select all walls, and this may be something you've learned from the uh, Archicad manual already. If you go up to document, go to annotation and go to automatic dimensioning, go to exterior dimensioning, and then basically you're going to get a dialog box which keeps showing up on my other monitor. And look, these looks very like what we ask you to do in the drawing guide, so I'm just going to go along with that. And I'm just going to click OK. Now we can change the lines later. If you want to make it smaller, go ahead. And then it just asks you to click on elements. I'm just going to click this line and hold the shift button down. And then I'm just going to double click somewhere outside. And you can see that we've got lots of dimensions. Now what you guys will have to do then is look through some of these. And if there's any that haven't rounded up, you can actually select the dimension, but you have to be in the dimension tool, I believe. So if we go down here and I think dimension, select that. I think you can actually then select the text here. And if that was wrong, you can just say change it to custom and then round it up. Just type in 16205 or whatever it is. That will round up to the dimensions that we ask you in the drawing guide. I'm just going to undo that. But then what you guys should do is get to your organizer and drag this onto an A3 page and see whether you have to bring things closer to make it fit in the page. But if you do what I've demonstrated here with the dimensions and with those window reference markers and the element ID manager, you're going to find that the drawing is going to shape up really quickly. And obviously you'll turn on the layers for things like the toilets and sinks and the kitchen fitted furniture. So hopefully that little video will be of help, and otherwise we'll see you in class. Thank you.